What's going on, everybody? David here from Bluckers Videos and Toys, and today we are going to be checking out the Jurassic World Chaos Theory Gigantic Trackers Mapusaurus for the Epic Evolution line by Mattel. And this is a brand new species to the line, so let's go ahead and take this particular figure out and take a look at the packaging. Alright, we've got the figure out. So this is your standard open style packaging for the Gigantic Trackers. And you have the Jurassic World logo right there. And then for the card back, you have the sunset background with a bright ass sun here on the corner. We've got the mountains and got some clouds. And then you have the open road right there that the kids from Jurassic World Chaos Theory drive on. And then, of course, you got the swamp biome right there that it's that they placed it in. And then you have the Netflix logo right there with the Allosaurus and Darius here in the corner. And then you got Gigantic Trackers Mapusaurus, Jurassic World Chaos Theory logo right there with the Epic Evolution logo right there. And then the ages 4 and up, that's me. And then you got the Mattel logo right there. And then here you have the instructions or demonstration on how to operate the mechanism to activate the action feature right there. And then here at the bottom, you got all your copyright information right there. And then you got the Jurassic World Chaos Theory logo there. And then on this side, you got a different Jurassic World Chaos Theory logo right there. Basically, you have the T-Rex logo there on the side. And then on the back of the packaging, as we turn it around, it says Gigantic Trackers Mapusaurus, Jurassic World Chaos Theory logo there, the swamp biome logo right there. And then here you have the FactSap information. I don't know why it took me forever to say that, but and then it says Rampage Attack, and then here Evolved Battle, Evolved for Battle. So basically, we're just telling you how to activate the action feature right there with the rolling mechanism. And then you have a button here at the bottom of the tail to activate the spikes that come out of the tail. And then, of course, you get the Mattel logo right there. And then we have the Bahahatosaurus that we just previously reviewed. So check out that review if you can. Alright, so that is it for the packaging. So let's bring out our Mapusaurus and take a look at it. Alright, so here is our Mapusaurus out of its packaging. And I did some research. There's very little, well, I'm going to say very little information. But the only information that I remember that that I read up on it, I do know of this species. I just don't know a whole lot about it. This is really my first real introduction to the species, because it's not a well-known species like a T-Rex or a Triceratops or something like that. But it does have its place in history, and it is part of the Carcharodontosauridae family. And so it is related to the Giganotosaurus and the Carcharodontosaurus and so forth. And so that's where that came from. It did live in the late Cretaceous. I just don't remember where it was found. That's the thing. I should have wrote this shit down, but I didn't. But anywho, so very happy to have this because this was a species that I've really wanted for a while, because when I first started reading about it and doing some research, I really do like this figure or species. I like the figure too, but I couldn't wait to get one and to kind of put it together with the family and stuff. So that's always a good thing when you have particular species that can you can add and group them into a family and things like that. So that's always exciting. But anyways, so far as the sculpt goes, like I always say in all my videos, amazing sculpt as usual. A little bit on the thin side, he's a little skinny, but other than that, I'm very happy to have it. And I do like the paint scheme. There is a variation of this that is a lighter color, I believe. I think I wanted the one with the darker kind of cream colored. There is one that has a lighter cream colored, and but I don't really care for that. I just wanted the darker coloration to it to kind of mesh in a little bit more with the black or charcoal gray and whatever you want to call it. You know, some people will say it's black, others say it's like charcoal gray or charcoal black, you know. But overall, the species looks amazing, you know, details and everything, especially the head sculpt. So this is pretty much the crest of how the family of the Carcharodontosauridae family looks, because it's got that kind of elongated snout a little bit, you know. And I do like the texturing of it, especially on top of the texturing. It's kind of got that rock-like texturing with the osteoderms, you know, here alongside the snout, on top of the head, and along the neck, and then alongside the body and everything. So that's very cool. I do like to tell how it's kind of got that curvature to it. So it should be a little bit longer, but you know, that's why I had to kind of curve it around a little bit. Just so, I mean, at least you got a pretty decent length, you know, of it. So, of course, you know, get the texturing of it, and then you got the stomach muscles right there. You can see the ribs a little bit, and then as far as the legs go, not as overly musculature, but it does got a lot of osteoderms here on the hind legs here, and then especially alongside the tail here, and then here same thing. Not as deep cuts as it is on the other side, but you can tell it's still some, you know. And then get the texturing here, the calf muscle and everything. And then you got some more of that osteoderm texturing here on this hind leg, and then alongside there. So like I said, you know, it's got that kind of like rock-like texturing. So that's different, you know. Pretty sure it didn't have that in real life. But I do like the texturing. It does make it look different and unique, you know. I know I've talked about the new line, the Jurassic World Survival line. I really don't really like that particular line at all. It's just, you know, the aesthetics of it and how it looks and what they did to particular species. Not my ideal, you know. But some people like it. I'm pretty sure there's more some that like it than others, you know, and that's fine. You know, but I'm thinking the only thing I'm going to pick up from that particular line is like new species, no matter how odd it is, because it's a new species, you know, from the Jurassic World line. But anyways, this is fine because it's not as weird and kind of out there. Yeah, I mean, this might be a little different, you know, like kind of throw you off a little bit, but it's not. It doesn't take away from what the species looks like, you know. As long as it looks like a particular species, you know, it's fine to have this kind of unique texturing and stuff and little action gimmick and stuff like that. Not like over the top weird shit that they're doing. But anyways, we're here to talk about the Mapusaurus, not Jurassic World Survival. But yeah, so the head sculpt, like I said, looks really good. Love the texturing. I mean, you could see the deep texturing if I bring it in closer, you know. The eyes look good right there, and then the eye looks good right there. So, got the little osteoderms here on the side of below the jaw. So, but yeah, I love the head sculpt of it. And of course, you know, here, as far as the action gimmick and articulation goes, really not a whole lot. You only got, you know, as on a hinge. The arms are on a hinge, you know, to go in and out, forwards and backwards, in and out, forwards and backwards. And then the legs, I think, yeah, they don't do much. It just comes in and out, you know. Not much backwards like that. But yeah, so that's pretty much as far as the articulation goes. And then as far as the action gimmick goes, you got these two rolling things, and then it's a shame these things don't make sound. That'd be kind of cool. So then the cool thing about these is these rolling gimmicks, you can actually hold it in a spot. So if you want to display it like that, you can, or if you want it closed, you can display it like that. So that's always a cool thing. So that has its downsides and upsides to it. So that's probably one of the upsides that you can have, that this gimmick can do when it comes to these larger species. You know, you can pose them however you want them, as far as with the jaw open or not, you know. So, and then of course, you know, here is the spikes that right there, and you got the little button here at the bottom. You know, it just pops out. It looks like that. So, but yeah, so that is the Mapusaurus. So this is pretty much one of the larger carnivores, you know, ever. You know, because the Carcharodontosauridae family, you know, they're pretty big, and they're about on par with the T-Rex, if not a little bit bigger, depending on the species. You know. So that being said, let's go ahead and do some comparisons. All right, so the first comparison that we will do is with the Giganotosaurus, because the Mapusaurus and the Giga are pretty much on par with what they're supposed to be as far as relation goes. You know, they have similar head sculpts, even though this is movie accuracy, not paleo accuracy. But if it's paleo, then the Giga would have pretty much the same snout as the Mapusaurus, pretty much closely to it, you know, because they're all pretty much the same species, but they just all categorized in one big family, you know, even though they are different species, you know. But but yeah, so in reality, this would be a little bit smaller, you know, just probably be just a hair bit bigger than this thing, because you know, this is supposed to be 3 3/4 scale, you know, and this is movie scale, movie. But yeah, so hopefully we will get a smaller scale. Actually, we do get a smaller scale Giga, you know, that I do want to pick up. You know, it's from the Legacy Reimagined line, and it's like a rubbersaurus, like a rubberized real feel Giga. So, and I think it's a little bit smaller than this, but just a hair bit bigger than that. So we'll eventually pick that up, and we'll do further comparisons when it comes to that particular set. But anyways, so let's go ahead and continue on. All right, so the next comparison is the Carcharodontosaurus, and that's pretty much accurate. You know, I do like how they have that scaling with this. There is another species, the Tyrannotitan, that Mattel did. I haven't picked that one up yet, but I will, planning on doing that real soon, because the Tyrannotitan is part of the Carcharodontosauridae family. Dude, what's going on? And but the aesthetics or the looks of the toy is totally different compared to what you would the actual species. But then again, this is Jurassic World we're talking about, so it's not going to be remotely paleo accurate. But yeah, so that's part of the family, so that's a pretty good comparison. That's pretty much, the scaling is pretty much on par for that. All right, so we'll get this guy out the way, and we'll move Mr. Mapu over. And so this is another species that's part of the family, and concavinator, convenator, or however we want to pronounce it. So it should be a lot smaller. This is a little too big, to be honest, as far as size goes. This is like overly sized. It should be like half the size of that. So, but yeah. that's part of the family as well. So that's pretty good. Kind of scaling's off, but I do like the matchup though. Though it's way off, and it should be half the size. So that is a good scale. Let's bring in the car back in. So kind of see where the evolution or the scaling goes comes to this particular species. So yeah, so that's part of the family. So we are just missing the Tyrannotitan that needs to be added. So we'll add it eventually. All right, let's continue on. All right, so this might not be a fair comparison because in reality, these are pretty much all the same size, you know. But so here is the Jurassic World Rebirth T-Rex next to the Mapusaurus. So even though the T-Rex in that movie is pretty large, so again, this the accuracy with the movie figure and with the actual figure itself, it's pretty on par. You know, it's supposed to be the way it's supposed to be. But in reality, the T-Rex should be about that big, you know, about that size. So, but overall, as far as scaling goes for what it is, you know, that's pretty good. I do like that a lot, you know. All right, let's continue on. And so, as far as species that it lived with alongside it, here is the Scorpio ovinator. So that is a particular species that lived alongside the Mapusaurus. You know, the Scorpio should be a little smaller, but other than that, you know, it's a pretty good scale size for what it is. You know, because you know when Mattel does figures, some figures should be smaller than what they actually present, and some other figures should be bigger than what they actually present. But just I guess it's just all depends on how big or size they feel like it should be worth. You know, again, like I said, this is Jurassic World, so size is going to be off the wall sometimes. All right, let's continue on. All right, so next up we will be displaying different species that it lived in the same time frame, the late Cretaceous. So we have the I forgot the name of that thing. What is that thing called? Edmontonia. Can't believe I forgot that. Forgot what it was called. All right. So, Edmontonia. And then you got let me see, the Styracosaurus also lived alongside it, or not alongside it, but the same era, the late Cretaceous. And then you also have the Atrociraptor that also lived in the same time frame as well. So there you go. And then for the final comparison, we have the human figure. So that's pretty much on par where it should be at. It might be a little bit needs to be a little bit bigger, you know. But other than that, it's pretty accurate for the most part. And of course, we have it alongside its wave mate, the Baha'atosaurus. And that was a look at the Gigantic Trackers Mapusaurus. Now let me know what you think about this Mapusaurus in the comments down below. Do you have this in the collection? Are you interested in getting it? What you think of it? And don't forget, words to wisdom. Buy what you love and not what you like, because if you buy what you like, you'll always end up getting rid of it. And I will catch y'all later.